The phone buzzed once. I didn't rush to check it. It was early, and mornings were quiet in this house. Then I saw her name, Claire, my daughter. I smiled before opening it. "You won't be joining us on the cruise. Eric prefers to keep it just family." I read it again, slower. My eyes didn't lie. The message was short, clean, cruel. I had just finished paying off their new house, $2.8 million. I sold Robert's old property, drained my savings, cleared their debt. I handed them stability. And now they wanted distance. I typed one word back. "Excuse me?" The reply came fast. "Mom, please don't make this dramatic. Eric thinks it's better if we have space." I stared at the words until the screen dimmed. Space. After everything, she wanted space. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Again. Still voicemail. Then another message. "Please don't come by the house. It's confusing for the kids when you act like it's still yours." Still mine. The house I bought. The walls I painted. The deed still under my name. I breathed once, steady. My heart didn't race. It sharpened. I texted back, "Claire, I won't come by. I'll handle things from here." She replied, "Thank you, Mom. Finally. Finally." That word twisted. I went to my study, pulled out the folder from the drawer, the bank transfers, wire receipts, every document with my signature, proof of ownership, line by line. I spread them on the table like cards in a game I suddenly remembered how to play. Minutes later, tires rolled up the driveway. Their car. They were home early. I stepped outside, folder in hand. Claire climbed out first, sunglasses on, voice flat. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "Checking on what's mine," I said. Eric laughed. "You can't just show up, Nora." I smiled. "Oh, I can do more than show up." I walked closer, placed the folder against Claire's chest. "You told me not to act like this house is mine, but when I stop, you'll wish I hadn't." Her smile faltered. Eric's eyes narrowed. I leaned in, calm. "Enjoy your cruise, sweetheart. You'll come back to a different address." Their faces froze. I turned, letting the wind slam the door behind me. The chime rang once, sharp, final, like the sound of a countdown beginning. Helen showed up the next morning before I'd even finished my coffee. No text, no warning, just 3 hard knocks on the door. She stood there with her gray hair pinned tight and a grocery bag swinging from her arm. "I saw your lights on," she said, "and I saw your daughter yesterday. You'd better sit down for this." I set the mug down. "What now?" "She was at the loan office," Helen said, "signing something. Looked like mortgage paperwork." I blinked. "Mortgage? That house is paid off." Helen crossed her arms. "That's what I thought." The words hung in the air. For a second, all I could hear was the faint clinking of the wind chime outside. I walked to the counter, picked up my phone, and pulled up the texts from yesterday. The last one glared back at me. "Please don't come by the house." I looked at Helen. "She's not taking a loan. She's taking ownership." Helen frowned. "What are you talking about?" "She forged my name," I said flatly. "Claire and Eric are trying to transfer the property." Helen's eyes went wide. "That's criminal, Nora." I nodded slowly. "So is betrayal." She followed me into the study. I opened the drawer, pulled out the thick folder again. Deeds, transfer forms, the notarized closing papers. My name, printed clear on every page. Helen leaned over my shoulder. "What are you going to do?" "Find out how far they've gone," I said. "Then decide how far I'll go." She swallowed. "You're scaring me a little." "Good," I said. "They should be scared too." The phone buzzed again. Claire. I turned the screen toward Helen. The message read, "Mom, please stop contacting the bank. Eric says you're making things complicated." Helen whispered, "She really texted that?" "Yes," I said, and she just confirmed everything I needed. I typed back slowly, "Don't worry. I won't contact anyone anymore." Then I smiled. That's the last truth she'll ever read from me. Helen shook her head. "You've been quiet too long, Nora." Not quiet, I corrected. Patient. She sighed, looked around the room, then said softly, "You gave her everything. Maybe that's the problem." I closed the folder. Maybe it's time she learns what everything really means. Helen hesitated. "You're not going to—" "I'm going to correct an error," I said. "And I'll make sure the system she tried to use against me works perfectly. In my favor." I walked her to the door. She touched my arm before leaving. "Be careful." I nodded. Careful is my middle name. After she drove off, I sat back down with the folder. My heart wasn't breaking anymore. It was planning. I opened my laptop, searched the builder's registry, and found the exact office Helen had mentioned. The employee records showed timestamps, signatures, security cameras. Perfect. I downloaded the forms, my lips curving into a smile. They thought I'd fade quietly. They thought old age meant surrender. But I still had every document, every receipt, every bit of proof. And this time I wouldn't whisper my way through it. I picked up my phone, hit record, and spoke clearly. "Claire Bennett Hughes. Eric Hughes. If you think you can erase me, you'd better learn how to spell my name first." Then I saved the file under one word: evidence. The chime outside rang again, 3 times this time, sharper, faster, like it already knew what was coming next. That night I couldn't sleep. The wind kept rattling the chime, and every sound felt like a warning. I got up, turned on the lamp, and opened my laptop. If Claire and Eric wanted to play with paperwork, I would start there too. I logged into my insurance portal, the one I'd set up after Robert died. It still had his name beside mine. The password worked. The screen loaded slowly, then the numbers appeared. Policies, beneficiaries, addresses. One file stopped me cold. Homeowners, insurance, beneficiary change, completed. Completed? I hadn't touched it. I clicked. My name was gone, replaced by Eric and Claire Hughes. The signature at the bottom looked familiar. My handwriting, but not mine. They had forged my name. My hands tightened on the mouse. My own daughter had signed me out of my own house. I clicked download, saved the document, printed it out, and held the page up to the light. The fake signature was tilted, a little too neat. I traced the pen line with my finger and said quietly, "You made one mistake, Claire. You taught me how to notice details." I grabbed my phone, took photos of the page, and emailed them to myself, to Helen, to a backup drive. Then I opened the Notes app and wrote one line. "Let them think I haven't noticed." The house felt too still. I turned off the printer and heard the soft hum fade. My reflection on the laptop screen looked calmer than I expected. I used to fix other people's appraisals for a living. Numbers, property lines, title corrections. I could fix this too. I opened another tab and pulled up the public property registry. There it was, my address, my name, and a pending ownership verification. Eric's email was listed as the applicant, so they'd forged a signature, filed it online, and thought the system would do the rest. I whispered, "You two really underestimated the woman who paid for everything you own." I clicked print proof of ownership, slid the papers into the folder, and sealed it shut. The phone buzzed again, another text from Claire. "Mom, please don't overthink this. Eric's handling everything. You can rest now." Rest. The word made me laugh out loud. I hadn't laughed like that in years. Short, sharp, the kind of laugh that means trouble is coming. I texted back, "Thank you, sweetheart. I'm resting just fine." Then I opened my camera app and recorded the document, my voice steady. Forgery under state law carries 10 years. You should have read the fine print. I uploaded the video to a private cloud folder labeled "For Julian." For the first time all day, I felt lighter. There's a strange peace in knowing exactly who your enemy is, and that they share your last name. I walked to the window, looked at the streetlights glowing against the dark. Somewhere out there, Claire was sleeping soundly beside her husband, certain she'd finally silenced me. But the truth had already started its own noise. I whispered, You built your future on a lie. Let's see how steady it stands. The printer clicked once more as if agreeing. I left the papers in the open so I could see them when morning came. Proof. When I turned off the lamp, the chime moved again, one soft note through the quiet. I didn't flinch this time. They thought I was finished, but they'd just given me a reason to begin. Morning light hit the window, and I was already awake. I hadn't slept. My coffee sat cold beside the folder I'd left open all night. The papers were still there, every proof of what they'd done. I ran my hand over the top page, not gently this time. My phone buzzed again. Claire. Mom, Eric says it's time for you to relax. You worry too much. We've got it handled. Handled. That word again. Every lie they told me came wrapped in something polite. I took a long breath, opened my notebook, and wrote one sentence. Silence is strategy. Then I crossed the kitchen, logged into my bank account, and canceled every single automatic transfer tied to their mortgage. One click at a time. Every sound of a canceled payment felt like justice. I whispered, "Let's see how well you handle this." I moved to the insurance page and withdrew my authorization for third-party communication. Gone. Their power of attorney games just died quietly on a Tuesday morning. I shut the laptop. The air felt clean again. Then the doorbell rang. I opened it to see Eric standing there, casual smile, holding his phone like a badge. "Morning, Nora. Claire said you might be confused about the paperwork. Thought I'd drop by and clear things up." I folded my arms. "You came without her?" "She's busy. Cruise packing, you know." He laughed like we were old friends. I stepped aside. "Come in, let's clear it up." He followed me into the kitchen. His eyes scanned the counters like he already owned them. "Look," he started. "Claire's been stressed. You've been helping a lot, but she just wants boundaries, you understand." I opened the folder on the table. "Is this what you call boundaries?" He froze. The forged insurance form stared up at him. His voice wavered. "That's standard authorization." "No," I said. "That's fraud. With your name attached." He laughed once, forced. "You wouldn't make this ugly, Nora. Family doesn't sue family." I smiled. "You're right, but victims sue thieves." He stepped back. "You're overreacting." I leaned forward. "Try me." For a moment, the room went still. The only sound was the wind outside and the faint chime shaking in the distance. He grabbed his phone. "You'll regret this." I already regret raising someone who thought money meant control. He stared at me, lips tight, then turned and left without another word. When the door closed, I sat back down. My hands weren't shaking. They were steady, cold, certain. I opened my journal again and added a line. "They think silence means surrender. It means calculation." I looked at the chime outside. It moved once, slow and deliberate. I whispered, "You wanted peace, Claire. You'll get it, just not the kind you imagined." I picked up my pen and wrote 3 steps on the next page. Lawyer, investigator, evidence release. I underlined each one. Then I folded the note and placed it under my compass keychain, the one Robert gave me the year Claire was born. He'd said, "If you ever lose your way, follow what points north." I finally understood what he meant. I checked the clock. 9 a.m., early enough to start. I dialed a number I hadn't used in years. Julian Pike, my old legal advisor. He answered on the second ring. "Nora, it's been a while." "Not long enough," I said. "I have a situation. Property forgery, insurance manipulation, maybe attempted fraud." His voice steadied. "Send me what you have. Come in at 11. Done." When I hung up, I felt the weight lift. I wasn't the helpless widow they thought I was. I was the storm they just invited. The chime hit hard as the wind picked up, echoing through the kitchen like applause. I gathered the documents, slid them into the folder, and smiled for the first time that day. "They wanted control," I said softly. "Now they'll learn what control looks like." I turned off the light, grabbed my coat, and stepped outside. The sun was bright, the air sharp. This time the wind didn't push me back. It followed me. Julian's office smelled like coffee and cold air. Files lined the walls, every shelf packed with someone else's disaster. I sat across from him, the folder in my lap. He adjusted his glasses and asked quietly, "You're sure about this, Nora?" I nodded. Completely. He opened the folder and whistled under his breath. Forgery, altered insurance forms, property manipulation. They didn't even try to hide it. "They didn't think they had to," I said. "They think age means blindness." Julian gave me a look. "You picked the wrong family to underestimate." The door opened behind us, and a woman stepped in, mid-40s, neat suit, laptop under one arm. "Renee Cho," Julian said. "Private investigator. She's the best in the state when it comes to digital evidence." Renee smiled slightly. "You're the one who paid off a $2.8 million house, right? I read your file. I'd be furious, too." "I'm past furious," I said. "I'm organized." She plugged in her laptop. The screen flickered to life. "The builder site camera you mentioned, we accessed the backup. You should see this." The video loaded. A construction trailer, time-stamped 2 months earlier. Claire and Eric stood by the counter, laughing with a man in a hard hat. The sound came through clear. Claire: "Once Mom signs the last page, we'll just transfer everything. She won't even know." Eric: "She'll die before she reads half those papers." The laughter that followed didn't sound human. I didn't move. My hands stayed flat on the table. Renee paused the video. The frame froze on Claire's face, smiling, proud. Julian looked at me. "You want me to save this?" "Send me the file," I said. Renee blinked. "You don't look shocked." "I ran out of shock yesterday," I said. "Now I'm collecting proof." Julian leaned back. "We can file a preliminary complaint right away, but if you want the case to hold, we need more. Bank metadata, communication logs, notarized copies, everything that ties them together." "I already started," I said. "Emails, loan registry, insurance forms. I'll get you everything by tomorrow." Renee smiled faintly. "You move faster than most of my clients under 40. "I've spent my life reading fine print," I said. "Now I'm writing it." Julian tapped the table. "There's one more thing we can do. If they send any email about ownership or transfers, forward it straight to Renee. She'll track the metadata and location pings. That's hard evidence." I nodded. "I'll give them bait they can't resist." Renee closed her laptop. "Good. When they reply, we'll know exactly where and when. Let them dig their own hole." I stood up, slid the folder back into my bag. "You've both been very helpful." Julian looked up at me. "Nora, whatever you do next, don't warn them." "I won't," I said. "They think silence means surrender. They'll learn it means surveillance." As I left the office, the air outside felt lighter. For the first time in days, I wasn't walking blind. By the time I got home, the sun was low and the house glowed gold against the fading light. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and checked my email drafts. One of them was waiting, an old template I used for property updates. I changed a few words, added a line about finalizing the ownership confirmation, and left it sitting open in the drafts folder. Then I whispered, "Let's see which one of you bites first." I closed the laptop and stood by the window. Across the street, the neighbor's dog barked, and a delivery truck slowed in front of my gate. The world looked ordinary again, but it wasn't. Every sound, every light, every movement felt like evidence waiting to be collected. At 8:12 p.m., my phone buzzed. An email notification. I didn't even need to open it to know. Subject: Ownership transfer. Finalization. Sender: Claire.Hughes @ They'd taken the bait faster than I expected. I smiled. Good girl. Another message popped in seconds later, from Eric's address. Forwarding this to you. We should sign before she realizes what's happening. Renee's tracker pinged on my laptop. Location confirmed. Metadata locked. I whispered, and just like that, you gave me your confession. I saved everything to a folder labeled For Julian, Phase 2. Then I poured a glass of water, sat back, and listened to the wind outside. It had changed. No longer sharp, no longer cruel, just steady. The phone buzzed again. Claire calling this time. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. When the third call came, I picked up. Mom, did you change the bank access? Eric's saying the mortgage site is frozen. I smiled. Oh, that must be a system error. Mom, this isn't funny. I'm not laughing, Claire, but I'm finally listening. I ended the call. Outside, the chime moved once, then twice. The sound wasn't warning anymore. It was applause. By the time I walked back into Julian's office, I was ready for war. He didn't waste time with greetings. He slid a new folder across the table. You were right, Nora. They forged a power of attorney. Look at this. The document lay open like a confession. My signature. Copied, sloppy, obvious to anyone who actually knew my handwriting. I traced the fake loop of the B with one finger. They thought I'd never notice, I said. Renee turned her laptop toward me. That's not all. We traced the witness signatures. Both belong to Eric's colleagues at the real estate office. Same IP address, same timestamp. Julian nodded. He's bold. She's reckless. That combination usually ends in prison. I leaned back, calm. Not yet. Not before I'm done. Julian smiled faintly. You sound like you're enjoying this. I'm not, but I like watching arrogance crumble. Renee pulled up a spreadsheet. See this? 2 days before the forgery, they opened a secondary emergency fund under your name. They routed the insurance refund into it. Every dollar that was supposed to go to your account went straight into theirs. I looked at the numbers. 200,000. Quiet theft, hidden under fake goodwill. They called it a family safety net, Renee said. That's what the memo line says. I laughed once. Family safety net. For who? Julian closed the folder. We can freeze the assets today. I'll have the court issue an injunction before they can touch another cent. No, I said. Let it sit. I want to see what they do next. I want them confident. He studied me. You're setting a trap. I'm finishing what they started. Renee smirked. You're colder than half my detectives. I've had time to practice, I said. Julian's phone buzzed. He checked the screen, frowned, and passed it to me. Claire's lawyer just emailed a preemptive statement claiming you're mentally unfit to handle finances. I stared at the message. Unfit? Yes. They're pushing for a medical affidavit. I smiled slowly. Then they'll have to explain why the unfit woman can trace their bank routes better than the IRS. Julian chuckled. You really want to play this out? I don't play, I said. I document. He leaned forward, serious again. We'll need notarized proof that you're of sound mind and aware of every transaction. You'll sign in front of a clerk and record it on video. I'll handle the legal framing. Do it, I said. And while you're at it, prepare one more document, a revocation of shared access. I want every power they stole stripped publicly. Renee typed fast. Already on it. Julian added, once we file, everything they've done under your name becomes fraud. Every dollar they touched, every login, every signature. They'll have to explain it under oath. Good, I said. Let them talk. The more they talk, the more they expose. He smiled again. You know, Nora, I've represented judges who were easier on people than you. I met his eyes. That's because I've seen what kindness costs. Renee slid me a flash drive. All evidence copied and time-stamped. Keep this separate from your home computer. Air-gapped, no internet connection. If they try to hack or delete, it won't matter. I pocketed it. You're very efficient. She grinned. So are you. Julian stood. Let's review our checklist. Step 1, notarized proof of competency. Step 2, formal freeze order when you say the word. Step 3, expose the forged witness list. Once that hits the insurance board, they'll go from smug to silent. I nodded. Perfect. As I walked toward the door, Julian called after me. Nora, one more thing. When this is over, what do you want? Money back? Apology? I paused. Neither. I want silence. The kind that makes them wonder if I'm still watching. Renee laughed softly.
You're terrifying. I like it. I smiled. Then you'll love what comes next. Outside, the sky was steel gray. The wind picked up, strong enough to move the chime hanging by Julian's window. It rang once, sharp and cold. I drove home without turning on the radio. Halfway there, I saw an email pop up on my dashboard screen. Claire again. Subject: Mom, we need to talk. I didn't open it. Talking time was over. When I reached my driveway, I saw a car parked across the street. Eric's. He stepped out, waved, pretending calm. Mom, you've been ignoring us. I stepped out of my car slowly. I've been busy undoing you. He blinked. Undoing. Every lie, every form, every dollar. All undone. His jaw tightened. You're not thinking straight. I took one step closer. That's funny, because the state of Texas just certified I'm perfectly competent. You, on the other hand, might want a lawyer. His face drained of color. Claire doesn't know yet, I said.
But she will, soon. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. I got back into my car, shut the door, and rolled down the window just enough to finish it. Eric, every thief signs their confession. You just don't notice where. I drove away before he could answer. Behind me, the chime rang again, louder this time. That night, the house was silent, except for the ticking clock. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open and a cup of coffee gone cold. My hands didn't shake anymore. They were steady, almost calm. On the screen, the cursor blinked in an empty email window. To Texas Insurance Board, Fraud Division. Subject: Urgent review of altered beneficiary files. Suspected elder forgery. I typed slowly, carefully. Every word had to count. This report concerns a forged beneficiary change on an insurance policy belonging to Nora Bennett, age 68, residing in Travis County. Attached are copies of the falsified documents and digital evidence showing access from unauthorized devices. The signatories include Claire Bennett Hughes and Eric Hughes. I didn't sign it. Instead, I added one final line. This message comes from someone who still believes justice doesn't need a name. I attached the files Renee had prepared. Then I read the message one more time. No emotion, no mercy, just truth. I hovered over the send button. The cursor blinked, steady as my heartbeat. Then I clicked send. A soft whoosh broke the silence. It was the most satisfying sound I'd heard all week. The coffee tasted bitter, but the bitterness felt clean. I whispered, "Truth travels even without a name." The wind outside picked up. The chime near the window moved once, slow and deliberate. For a moment, I imagined Claire checking her emails tomorrow morning, still confident, still smiling, having no idea that every word she typed was now evidence under state law. The thought almost made me laugh. I opened another tab, logged into my bank's portal, and took screenshots of every canceled transfer, every revoked authorization, every digital fingerprint that proved what they'd done. I labeled the folder Correction. Then I backed it up twice, one to the cloud, one to an encrypted drive. I didn't just want them caught. I wanted them recorded. The clock struck midnight. The sound echoed through the kitchen. My phone lit up. Claire again. "Mom, please answer. We just need to clear this up." I didn't. A second message followed. "Eric says this could ruin everything if you don't cooperate." I smiled. That's the idea. I turned off the phone, slid it across the table, and looked out the window. The streetlight cast long shadows across the yard, cutting through the dark like sharp edges of truth. Then a memory came back, the day Robert died. I remembered him telling me, "Paper doesn't lie, Nora. People do." He was right. And now, paper would finish what he started. The next morning, I woke to a notification from Renee. Subject: Confirmed, complaint filed, case number generated. Below it was a screenshot of the State Fraud Division portal showing the timestamp, 12:04 a.m. She'd already moved faster than I expected. "Renee, you did well. They'll never see it coming. Sit tight for the next 48 hours. The storm's starting. I typed back one sentence. I don't mind storms. They clean the air. After that, I closed my laptop, poured fresh coffee, and watched the sun rise through the blinds. The light was pale, almost silver. I thought about Claire and Eric somewhere in their comfortable bed, dreaming of control. Soon, they'd wake up to frozen accounts, flagged transactions, and a polite but deadly call from the Texas Insurance Board. It wouldn't be dramatic. It would be precise. That's the beauty of quiet justice. It doesn't shout. It documents. I wrote one more note in my journal. Never warn a liar. Just record the silence that follows. The wind picked up again. The chimes sang once, twice, then went still. I smiled. Good morning, Claire, I said softly. You're about to learn what silence sounds like when it answers back. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. The house was still, but my mind wasn't. I had work to do. I poured coffee, sat at the table, and opened my laptop. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat. Last night, I had sent the anonymous report. Today, I would give Claire and Eric exactly what they wanted, a chance to destroy themselves. I drafted an email. Subject, ownership transfer. Final confirmation. Dear Claire, please review the attached file before our meeting. Once signed, the transfer will finalize automatically. Let me know when Eric approves. No attachments, just bait, a perfectly worded illusion. I read it twice. Every comma was a trap. Every polite phrase was a blade. Then I saved it as a draft and waited. By 8:12 a.m., the chime outside the window moved once. A gust of wind swept through the blinds. My phone buzzed seconds later. Claire, Mom, what's this email? Are you sure you want to send it to Eric? I didn't reply. I just smiled. 3 minutes later, a second message came, forwarded from Eric. Eric, got the draft from your mom. Looks good. I'll print it and have Claire sign when we get back from errands. Perfect. I texted Renee. Bait sent. Watch for movement. She replied instantly. Already tracking metadata. Don't open their responses. I didn't have to. By 10:40 a.m., Renee called. Her tone was sharp with excitement. Nora, they fell for it. Both opened the draft within 5 minutes of each other. Same IP, same timestamp. Guess what? Eric forwarded it to his office printer, logged under his company account. That's an automatic record. I laughed quietly. They just notarized their own crime. Exactly, Renee said. And now we have chain of custody. This is evidence-level gold. Save everything, I told her. Lock it under our Phase 2 file. You're colder than a judge, she said. Judges don't lose houses, I replied. After the call, I stepped outside. The wind carried the faint scent of rain. Across the street, Helen was watering her porch plants. She looked up. You look busy, Nora. Just cleaning up a mess, I said. The family kind? The expensive kind. She shook her head softly. You always warned her about greed. And she always thought warnings were empty. Helen sighed. Well, she's about to learn. I went back inside, sat down, and opened the live metadata feed Renee had shared. Small digital dots pulsed across a map. One in Austin, one near a real estate branch on Barton Springs Road. Eric's office. I could see the timestamps update. Email opened, forwarded, discussed, sent to personal account. Every action recorded. I whispered, You loved paperwork, Claire. Now paperwork will love you back. At noon, Renee texted again. They sent your draft to a third party, someone at the builder's office. I just captured the message chain. It's full of incriminating language. They literally wrote, She'll sign anything once she sees our version. I leaned back in my chair, grinning. That's confession number 2. Want me to send you the file? Renee asked. Yes, label it Inheritance Voluntary Statement. The email arrived within minutes. I saved it, printed it, and slid it into my closing folder, the same one I used the day I paid off their house.
The irony wasn't lost on me. I looked at Robert's old compass keychain on the table. The metal caught the light. He used to say, "The truth always points north." He was right. I'd just drawn them a map straight to their own downfall. Around 2 p.m., my phone rang again. This time it was Julian. "We got a hit," he said. "The insurance board contacted me. They've opened a preliminary review. Anonymous report, but they match the documents to your case file." I smiled. "That's the email I didn't sign." "Clever," he said. "You just put them under investigation without touching a single line of paperwork." "That's the beauty of precision," I said. "You don't need noise when you have proof." Julian laughed. "I'm starting to think you should have been a lawyer." "I was a mother," I said. "Same thing, different kind of client." He chuckled. "Sit tight. Things are about to move fast." By late afternoon, the first cracks appeared. Claire called twice. I didn't answer. The third time, I did. Her voice was strained. "Mom, why didn't you tell me the insurance board contacted Eric's office? They said there's a compliance issue." I pretended confusion. "Oh, must be a misunderstanding." She snapped, "Don't play dumb. They think we falsified documents." I let her words hang, then calmly, "Did you?" She froze. "Of course not." "Then you have nothing to worry about." "Nora, this isn't funny. You could be dragged into this too." I smiled into the phone. "Claire, if I'm dragged in, I'll be the one holding the rope." Click. She hung up. The quiet that followed was almost musical. That evening, I met Renee and Julian at a small diner on Congress Avenue. Renee slid her laptop across the table. "They tried deleting the chain," she said. "Too late. Auto backups already secured. Their own system archived everything." Julian tapped the folder in front of him. "We now have fraud, conspiracy, and perjury by intent. That's 3 felonies if we push it." I stirred my coffee. "Push it?" He raised an eyebrow. "You're certain?" "Absolutely," Renee smirked. "You don't hesitate, do you?" "Not anymore." We sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the sky turned gold and dark at the edges. Julian closed his folder. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "They don't even realize they're done. They'll go to bed tonight thinking they still have control."
Betty.
I looked out the window, the reflection of my own face in the glass, calm, steady, unmoved. "They'll learn tomorrow morning," I said, "when the letters arrive." Renee smiled. "Certified mail?" "Of course," I said. "Justice deserves a signature." The 3 of us sat there as the wind picked up outside, carrying the faint sound of thunder in the distance. I took one last sip of coffee and stood. They wanted everything I built. Now they'll pay for the paperwork that buries them. Renee grinned. "You really are a quiet hurricane, Nora." I grabbed my coat, nodded once, and stepped out into the cooling air. The storm clouds above Austin glowed silver. The first drops of rain hit the pavement like a slow countdown. "Let it rain," I whispered. "They wanted signatures. Now they'll drown in them." And I walked away. The courthouse smelled like old paper and cold air. I'd been here before, but this time the weight felt different. I wasn't the widow handling my husband's estate. I was the woman proving she was still alive, on paper, in law, and in every way that mattered. Julian met me at the steps. "You ready?" he asked. "I've been ready since the day she sent that text." We walked inside. The clerk checked my ID and motioned us to the window. Renee was already there, laptop open, her hair pulled back tight like she was going to war. "The affidavit hit the court at 8:07 a.m., she said. "Claire filed a medical statement declaring you mentally unfit to manage your assets." I laughed softly. "Unfit? That's creative." Julian held out a folder. "She had a doctor sign it, a Dr. Feldman. We checked. He retired last year. They forged the entire certification." "Of course they did," I said. "When you lie once, the truth becomes just another obstacle." The clerk stamped the papers in front of us. The sound echoed through the hallway like a gavel. Julian turned to me. "Sign here."
This document reverses the temporary transfer they filed. It restores ownership and places an injunction on any further claim until the investigation ends. I picked up the pen. The ink felt heavy, deliberate. They buried me in paperwork, I said. It's only fair I dig them out with it. I signed. One stroke at a time. Renee's phone buzzed. She looked down, smiled. Insurance Board just confirmed receipt of the evidence package. They've officially opened a case. Good, I said. The clock's ticking. Julian nodded. When they realize this, they'll panic. That's the plan. We walked down the corridor. The courthouse windows were tall and cold, the sunlight cutting through like sharp glass. I stopped halfway, watching dust float in the light. They called it care, I whispered. I call it burial in ink. Julian glanced at me. You want to press charges? Not yet. I want them to come to me first. Let them think there's still room to negotiate. He smirked. You're dangerous. I'm thorough. And by noon, we had everything filed, copies sealed, timestamps secured. The law was no longer a threat. It was my shield. Outside, the Texas heat was blinding. I stood on the steps and called Renee. What's our timeline? 48 hours before the notice reaches their attorney, she said. Maybe less if they check their inboxes. I smiled. Then we wait. That evening, I didn't have to wait long. At 6:45 p.m., my phone lit up. Claire. I almost let it ring, but I wanted to hear her voice break. Mom, she started, sharp, shaking. We need to talk. Why did the court freeze the house? Our lawyer said you revoked everything. I stayed quiet for a full 5 seconds. Then I said, You should have read the fine print. You can't do this, she shouted. Eric said you were confused, that you didn't even understand what you were signing. I understood perfectly, I cut in. I understood that you used my name like a key to my own grave. She went silent. Claire, I said, calm now. You called me weak. You called me slow. But you forgot who taught you how to read a contract. Mom, we can fix this. No, I said. You can face this. I ended the call. 2 minutes later, Eric tried. I didn't answer. Instead, I texted Renee. They called. She replied instantly. Let them sweat. The board just sent them a notice for interview. They'll get it by morning. The timing was perfect. The next day, I drove to Julian's office for the final signatures. The courthouse seal had already been delivered. He met me at the door holding a thick envelope. It's official, he said. You're reinstated as full owner. Every fraudulent filing is void. They'll be notified today. I smiled, slow and steady. You ever seen a storm that starts with silence? He chuckled. Only when you're the one standing in it. We sat down, and he laid out the documents for review. Each page was a reversal, each signature a correction. I picked up the pen again, my hand steady. They tried to erase me while I was still breathing, I said. Now, every stroke of this pen writes them back into accountability. When I finished signing, Julian gathered the papers and sealed the envelope. The stamp came down with a firm thud. That sound, I said. It's what justice feels like. He nodded. You'll sleep better tonight. I don't sleep, I said. I plan. He smiled. Then what's next? Next, I said. We let them come home. He frowned slightly. Come home? Yes. Let them see what happens when you try to bury your mother alive and come back to find your own names on the tombstone. Renee appeared at the door, tablet in hand. They just landed back from their trip, she said. According to flight logs, they're driving straight from the airport to the house. Julian looked at me. You sure you want to be there when they arrive? I nodded. Oh, I'll be there, but I won't say much. The three of us stood together in the office, quiet for a moment. The air felt charged, heavy with the weight of everything that was about to happen. Renee broke the silence. Do you ever regret not warning them? I looked at her. No, I gave them kindness once. They mistook it for blindness. This, I lifted the sealed folder, is me learning from my mistake. Julian exhaled. You're something else, Nora. I'm just old enough to know that mercy without accountability is just permission. As I left the building, the wind caught my hair, and the courthouse bell rang behind me. Each toll felt final, like punctuation. By the time I reached my car, the sun was setting over the city. Golden light spilled across the windshield, bright and clear, like a verdict written by nature itself. I whispered, "Case closed." Then I started the engine and drove home. Tomorrow they'd arrive to find out everything they owned was already gone, and I'd be waiting, not angry, not broken, just prepared, because justice doesn't need volume, it only needs timing, and my timing was perfect. I was already outside when their car turned into the driveway. The sound of tires on gravel broke the calm like a verdict. Claire was the first to step out. She looked rested, tan, and smug, like a woman returning from a victory trip. Eric followed, phone in hand, too confident for a man standing on someone else's property. They froze when they saw me. "Mom?" Claire's smile flickered. "You're here?" "I live here," I said. "Remember?" Eric laughed, that fake laugh he used when he wanted control. "We just got back. Didn't expect company." "You'll have plenty of company soon," I said. "The movers are inside." Claire frowned. "Movers? Why?" I held up a single sheet of paper, the deed transfer, stamped and certified. "Because this house isn't yours anymore." Her mouth opened, but no words came. I stepped aside. Behind me, a realtor stood by the porch, clipboard in hand, calm as ever. A large sign leaned against the mailbox. "Sold, Texas Veterans Widow Fund." Eric's face went pale. "You sold it?" "I donated it," I said, "to a charity that helps women who actually earned their peace." Claire's voice cracked. "You can't do that." "I already did." The realtor stepped forward. "Mrs. Bennett signed the papers in front of a notary 2 days ago. The sale closed this morning. The donation receipt's already public record." Neighbors were gathering on the sidewalks now, curious. Phones came out, cameras clicked. Every whisper felt like a gavel. Claire's tone turned sharp, panicked. "Mom, think about what you're doing. You're ruining everything we worked for." "What you stole for," I corrected. "And no, Claire, I thought about it for months. You just didn't notice." Eric took a step closer. "You're not thinking straight." "Funny," I said, "because the court and the bank both confirmed I'm perfectly competent. But you, Eric, might want to start thinking about your signature on that forged insurance form." He stiffened. "The one the insurance board flagged yesterday?" I continued. "The one that'll get both your accounts audited?" Claire's breath caught. "You wouldn't?" "Oh, I already did," I said. "And you should really check your inbox before threatening me. The investigation letters went out this morning." Renee's car pulled up across the street. She leaned against the hood, recording the entire exchange. Julian stood beside her, arms folded, calm. Silent witnesses to the end. Claire turned, saw them, and froze. "Mom, this is insane," she said. "You're humiliating us in front of everyone." "No," I said. "You did that the day you erased me from your family trip. I'm just giving you an audience." Eric's jaw tightened. "You think people will side with you?" "They already have," I said, nodding toward the realtor. "He just confirmed to every neighbor here that the house now belongs to charity. The plaque will go up next week." "What plaque?" Claire whispered. I handed her a small envelope. Inside was a photo of the bronze plate. "In honor of Claire Hughes. For teaching that legacy means nothing without integrity." Her hands trembled as she read it. The crowd gasped softly. A few laughed under their breath. Her eyes filled with fury. "You're cruel." "No," I said, calm and clear. "I'm precise." Eric stepped forward again. "You can't just throw us out." "The legal term," Julian called from across the driveway, "is revoked possession. You have 24 hours to vacate. Any property left after that becomes donation inventory." Eric's face reddened. "You set us up." "You set yourselves up," I said. "All I did was keep the receipts." The wind picked up, carrying the scent of rain. The chime on the porch rang once. Claire's voice dropped low, desperate now. "Mom, please, we can fix this. We can undo it." I looked at her, my only daughter, the child I once would have given the world for. "You can't undo truth, Claire. You can only face it." She tried again. "Please, Mom, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," I said. "And that's the difference between mistake and malice. You meant every word, every signature, every smile while you thought I was too old to see it." Her tears came fast now. Eric turned away, silent, humiliated. I walked closer, just enough so she could hear the calm in my voice. "You wanted legacy. Now you have one. Your name will hang on that plaque forever. Not as a benefactor, but as a lesson," she sobbed. "Why? You're my mother." "And you're still my daughter," I said softly. "That's why you're walking away free instead of in handcuffs. Don't mistake that for forgiveness." I handed her the house keys. She reached out confused until I let them fall. The metal hit the gravel with a sharp, final sound. "That's the sound of ownership leaving your hands," I said. She bent to pick them up, but I turned away. The realtor handed me another envelope. The closing documents, notarized and sealed. I tucked them into my folder. Renee walked up beside me. "It's done," she said quietly. "Not yet," I whispered. "It's only finished when they understand." I turned back toward Claire and Eric. "You see that wind chime? Robert hung it the year you were born, Claire. It's rung through storms, heat, and silence, but it never fell." She looked up through tears. "That's what truth is," I said. "It doesn't shout. It doesn't rush. It just waits until someone finally listens." I turned to leave. Behind me, the realtor began locking the front door for the last time. The sound of the latch clicked through the air like a full stop. As I reached the sidewalk, Helen appeared, holding her phone. "I didn't mean to film," she said quietly. "Keep it," I told her. "Let people see what justice looks like when it's quiet." She nodded. "You did the right thing, Nora. I did the necessary thing." Rain began to fall, slow and steady. The first drops darkened the gravel where the keys still lay. Claire knelt to pick them up, but Eric stopped her. "They're not ours anymore," he said, voice hollow. I glanced back once. Just once. "You're right, Eric. They never were." Then I walked away. The chime rang one last time as thunder rolled over Austin. The sound was soft, almost kind, like applause from the sky. And I didn't look back. The house was gone. The papers were sealed. The storm had passed. I moved into a small brick apartment downtown, 2 blocks from the courthouse and 3 from the cafe where Robert and I used to meet on Fridays. It wasn't grand, but it was mine. No one else had a key. The first morning there, I woke to silence. No calls, no texts, no noise pretending to be love. Just peace. I made coffee, sat by the window, and watched the city wake up. Delivery trucks, early joggers, a man walking his dog, all of them moving forward. That's what I wanted. Movement without permission. My phone buzzed once. Claire. I stared at the name for a long time before opening the message. "Mom, we're staying at Eric's sister's place for now. We'll figure things out. I know you hate me. I deserve it. But please, don't disappear." I typed one line back. "I'm not disappearing. I'm just done being your safety net." Then I turned off my phone. At noon, Renee came over with lunch. She set the bag down on the counter and gave me that look, half proud, half worried. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm lighter," I said. "That's new for me." She smiled. "They've been quiet?" "Too quiet," I said. "Quiet people plan." Renee laughed softly. "So do you." We ate in silence for a while. The soup was warm, the air still heavy with the smell of rain. After lunch, she pulled out her tablet. "Want to see something?" On the screen was a news article. "Local woman donates family home to Veterans Fund following fraud scandal." Below it, a photo of me on the courthouse steps, calm, composed. I shook my head. They made it sound like charity. It wasn't. It was closure. "Closure sells better," she said, grinning. Later that afternoon, I went for a walk. The sky was clear now, the kind of blue that feels like forgiveness. I passed a flower shop and stopped to buy a small plant. A peace lily. The woman at the counter said it thrived on indirect sunlight and quiet care. I smiled. So do I. That night, I placed the lily on the kitchen windowsill. The apartment felt alive in a way the mansion never did. Every sound, the clock ticking, the elevator hum, felt honest. The next morning, Julian called. "They reached out," he said, "through their new attorney." I sighed. "What do they want?" "A meeting," he said. "They're asking for partial reinstatement of funds. They say they were misled by their accountant." I laughed once, dry. Of course they were. "You want me to respond?" "Yes," I said. "Tell them I'll meet them, but not at my expense." 2 days later, we sat across from each other in a small conference room. Claire, Eric, their lawyer, Julian, and me. The air was thick with pretense. Claire started first. "Mom, we just want to talk. Things got out of control. You didn't have to go this far." I folded my hands. "You took my name, my home, my trust, and tried to sell them. Tell me what's too far." Eric leaned forward. "We made mistakes, but we can fix this. If you unfreeze the funds, we'll pay you back over time." Julian smirked. "With what money?" Eric shot him a look. "Stay out of this." Julian didn't blink. "I am out of it, legally, completely. She's just here to listen." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, please, I lost everything." I looked straight at her. "No, Claire, you lost control. That's not the same thing." She covered her face. Eric exhaled hard, muttering something under his breath about pride and punishment. I stood. "You wanted to talk. You did. Now listen to me. I don't want your money. I don't want your apologies. I want peace. That's something you can't steal or fake." Claire looked up, trembling. "So that's it?" "That's it," I said. "You'll rebuild the way I had to, from nothing but your own mistakes." I turned to leave. Eric called after me. "You'll die alone. You know that?" I didn't even turn around. Better alone than surrounded by thieves. Outside, the sunlight hit the glass doors, so bright it almost hurt to look at. I walked down the steps slowly, every sound, every footstep, sharp and real. Julian caught up to me. "You handled that like a judge." "No," I said. "Like a mother who finally stopped begging for decency." He nodded. "You're free now." "Freedom's quiet," I said. "People don't realize how loud peace can be until they earn it." That evening, I poured myself a cup of tea and sat by the window again. The city lights flickered in the distance. I thought about all the times I'd been told to be grateful, to forgive, to move on. They never understood. Moving on isn't forgiveness. It's release. My phone buzzed once more. Another message from Claire. "I'm sorry." I didn't reply. Some debts can't be repaid in words. I took a deep breath, turned off the light, and looked out at the skyline. The reflection in the glass didn't look tired anymore. It looked free. And for the first time in years, I whispered to myself, "Good night, Nora." 6 months passed. Seasons turned without ceremony. I'd learned to love quiet mornings, coffee steam curling through light, no footsteps echoing down the hall, no second voice claiming space that wasn't theirs. Just the hum of peace. The Veterans Charity had finished renovating the old house. They invited me to the dedication ceremony, said they'd like me to say a few words. I almost declined, but then I thought, some stories deserve an ending you can stand inside. The day was warm, the kind of Texas spring that makes the air shimmer. The sign out front gleamed under the sun, "The Bennett Home, for women who stood their ground." People gathered, volunteers, neighbors, donors, a few faces I hadn't seen since the day everything changed. Renee waved from the crowd, her smile steady. Julian stood near the steps, arms crossed, giving me a small nod that said, "You made it." I took the microphone, though my hands didn't shake. "I lived here once," I began. "It was a house full of noise, some good, some not. I lost a lot inside these walls, but what I gained after leaving was worth every silence since." They listened. Cameras clicked. I donated this home not because I wanted to forget, I continued, but because I wanted to remember differently. This place doesn't hold betrayal anymore. It holds beginnings. Applause rippled. Somewhere in the back, the wind chime, the one Robert had hung decades ago, rang once. After the ceremony, I walked the garden path alone. The magnolias were blooming again, stubborn as memory. A volunteer approached with a small envelope. "Someone asked me to give you this, ma'am. Said you'd know who it's from." My heart stilled. I opened it slowly. Inside, a single sheet of paper, no letterhead, no signature, just words written in Claire's looping handwriting. "We're in Dallas now. I found a job. Eric's gone. I'm trying to rebuild, Mom. I saw the article about the Bennett home. You were right. Legacy means integrity. Maybe one day you'll let me visit. I won't ask for anything. Just a conversation." I folded the paper, stared at the handwriting a long time. The ink had smudged slightly, as if written through tears. Renee found me there, still holding the letter. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," I said. "For once, I'm not angry, just aware." She glanced at the envelope. "You'll answer?" "Eventually," I said. "But not today. Today belongs to peace, not repair." We walked back toward the front gate. The plaque caught the light again. That same line from months ago. "In honor of Claire Hughes." For teaching that legacy means nothing without integrity. It didn't sting anymore. It felt finished. Later that week, I received another envelope, this one from the charity. Inside was a framed photo from the event, me standing by the porch, smiling faintly beneath the brass letters. I placed it on my mantel next to an old picture of Robert holding that wind chime, 2 chapters side by side. That evening, the apartment was quiet again, but not the lonely kind. The peace lily had doubled in size. Its white blooms leaned toward the light. The phone buzzed once, another text from Claire. "Dinner sometime?" My treat. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I wrote a single line in my notebook, the same one I'd kept through every storm. "Justice isn't revenge. It's the sound of finally breathing without guilt." Then I smiled, closed the book, and whispered, "Maybe one day." Outside, the city lights flickered on, soft, golden, steady. Somewhere, wind brushed against glass, and the faint chime of memory answered back. I turned off the lamp, sat in the dark a while longer, and realized something simple and profound. Forgiveness doesn't mean reopening the door. It means knowing you could, and choosing not to. The apartment clock ticked on, the world moved quietly, and I, at last, was home.